Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to tell you 5 secrets to piping the perfect buttercream rose. And the last secret just may pleasantly surprise you. So let's get piping. Let's do this. Here's the tools I used if you want to take a quick screenshot of this. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. If you'd like to learn how to bake and decorate more cakes and sweets, start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you receive notifications every time I post a new video. So, secret number 1 is to have the right frosting. If you don't have the right materials to work with, you can do the perfect piping technique and your rose is just going to droop, and it's sad, actually. I used my American Crusting buttercream in this video. I put links down below in the video description of recipes that will hold their structure. Basically, you want your buttercream firm enough that it will keep its structure. And what that boils down to is basically that you have enough solids compared to liquids in your buttercream. So there are so many different colors of roses, so you can use pretty much any color you'd like. But I used red in this video because it's, I don't know, it's just when you think of a rose, you think red. So when coloring your flowers, make sure you use gel icing color. You don't want to use watery food coloring because that is going to add more liquid to your buttercream, making your buttercream less firm. Red icing color can have a bitter taste to it, and you have to use quite a bit of it because it is a dark color. So you want to make sure you use an icing color that doesn't have a taste. I used Wilton No Taste red icing color in this video. So get your buttercream to almost the color red you want. I say almost because the buttercream's going to oxidize as it sits, which basically means it's going to deepen in color. Okay, now that we have our buttercream bag ready with our coupler and our tip 104 petal piping tip, we're going to smear a little buttercream on the flower nail and place a square cutout piece of parchment paper on top of the flower nail. So the first thing we're going to do is make a rosebud. So we're going to take the tip off and use just the coupler to do that. So we're going to want to make kind of what looks like a Hershey's Kiss. Place your coupler just above the flower nail. Apply pressure on your buttercream to build up a base. Start slowly pulling your bag upward, slowly releasing pressure. When you've reached the height you want, release pressure on the bag and quickly jerk the bag away, making a point. A lot of couplers you get at stores have this gap in the side, which will change the shape of your rosebud a bit. This is fine, we're going to cover it up, but if you don't want to deal with that, you can make sure you get a coupler that doesn't have this, or you can cut your bag so that it covers this hole, or you can temporarily put a piece of tape around it. Okay, so this brings us to secret number 2. We're going to make the use of our refrigerator. Chill the start of this rosebud in the freezer for a couple minutes or in the refrigerator for a little longer until it hardens. This is going to make it a lot easier to pipe on because it's not going to be moving around on you. So we're going to make a wrap around this rosebud, kind of like we're putting a scarf around it. Place your piping tip parallel to the bud with the narrower part of the opening pointing upward. The top of the piping tip should be a little lower than the tip of your bud, and as you twist the flower nail with one hand, your piping hand is going to slowly move up to the top of your rosebud and then wrap around and slowly move down. So remember, your piping tip and bag are just moving straight up and down. Let the twisting of the flower nail do the wrapping. And there'll be a little opening at the tip, and you can make that bigger or smaller. It's up to you. Every rose is different. Now we're going to start making some petals. We're going to do this by making an arc motion. So start with your piping tip, again with the narrowest opening up parallel to the rosebud. This time the tip of the piping tip and the tip of the rosebud should line up and make an arc while twisting the flower nail. Again, the piping bag is just going straight up and down. Okay, time for secret number 3. Start the second petal in the middle of the first petal. We want a lot of overlap here. That's what's going to make the rose look very authentic. And do this with every single petal. For this first row, do 3 petals, and then you can move on to the second row, remembering to start in the middle of a petal, and you can pipe 3 to 4 petals. If you're a beginner, the smaller the petals are, the easier it's going to be. Now the difference with the second row is you're going to slant the top of your piping tip a little bit away from the rosebud, and I'd say a little bit less than a 45-degree angle. The reason you're doing this is you want your rose to be blooming. So every row of petals is going to be slightly more open than the last row. Also, since we're starting in the middle of the petal, we're going to want our tip to be a little lower than the bottom of that petal. Now that we have 2 rows of petals on our rose, it's going to get a little heavier. And if you're a beginner, it might droop to one side, which you don't want because it's going to make it hard to pipe the third row of petals. All you have to do to correct for this is just turn it to its side and gently just kind of shake it a little bit so gravity will help it fall in line. Now we're going to freeze this for a couple minutes again, or put it in the refrigerator. If you're impatient like me and use a freezer, you don't want to keep it in there too long. Once you're used to making roses, you're not going to have to do this step, but it just makes it easier when you're new to roses. Okay, so your rose will be firm again, and now it's time to pipe the third row. Okay, so secret number 4, I'd actually already mentioned this when you piped row 2, but I wanted to put the secret here with row 3 because it's the most obvious here. Secret number 4 is to remember to keep with every row to keep angling your tip outward. So for the third row, the top of the tip is going to be angled a little less than a 90-degree angle. Again, because our flower is blooming. And remember to start at the middle of the last petal. Something you can do that's really pretty is mix the flowers, some having 3 rows, some 2, so some look bloomed, some look less bloomed. It's really a pretty look. But for a fully bloomed rose, I like to remember a 9-petal rose. 3 rows, 3 petals in each row, approximately. All right, time for secret number 5, and then I'm going to show you how to transport your rose safely onto your cake or cupcake, and how to pipe some leaves. Secret number 5 may be the most important secret of this video and of life. Secret number 5 is don't be perfect. So when your rose is looking really nice and polished like a rose, but it doesn't quite look real, you may want to nick it up a bit. When you look at real roses, there's little tears in the petals, for example. Don't you just love when being imperfect is perfection? Make sure your rose is hard before you take it out of the refrigerator, and we're going to take our flower lifter and right underneath the petals we're going to squeeze to break the rose off from its bud. Make sure your cake or cupcake is close by because we're going to kind of have to balance this over to it, and then use another tool to push it off of your flower lifter. You can also use your hands if you're careful. Just keep in mind that your hands are warm, so it's going to melt the buttercream faster. Once the flower's placed, we can pipe our leaves. I used icing color moss green for my leaves, and I used piping tip number 352. When you use this tip, think of it like a shark that's going to come in and bite your buttercream to help you remember how to position the tip. So make sure to put your tip under the rose petals. It looks weird if you pipe your leaves over any of the petals, and just let the buttercream build up, and then slowly release pressure as you slowly pull the tip away from the flower. And when your leaf is at the tip you want it to be at, completely release pressure and quickly pull your tip away. Make sure the tip is close enough to the underneath of the petal so that the leaf will be sticking to the underneath of the petal of the rose to help support it. And then I just piped another leaf on the opposite side. I would love to see pictures of your roses. Please send them. I love getting pictures. It just makes my day. And I have a lot of other flower videos if there's other flowers you want to learn how to make. And comment down below and let me know if there's any ideas of what you'd like me to make next. This is one of the most difficult flowers to pipe, so if you conquer this, you got this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time.